Ballpark Nation presents Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging up the lost treasures of baseball's past.
Welcome to Ballpark Nation. I'm your host, Alicia Dibetta. On this week's Raiders of the Lost Diamond, Jim saddles up for the baseball story of Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, only the penitent man will pass. And a penitent man is humble before God. Does that count when you're talking about the baseball gods? Hey everybody, Indiana Jim Christopher here with another edition of Ballpark Nation's Raiders of the Lost Diamond. In this episode, we are going to hop into a car and then do the little dotted line thing with the music playing. It's swelling. The John Williams music is coming up as we head to Amarillo, Texas, currently home to your Sod Poodles, but home to so many teams in baseball's past. Now, Amarillo has seen so many organized teams in its history. You had teams like the Amarillo Gassers, the Amarillo Texans, some teams that didn't even have names. But the most prominent name up until the current iteration of the Sod Poodles were the Amarillo Gold Sox. And I think it's kind of a cool name because Amarillo, as we learned earlier in the episode, is Spanish for yellow. But yellow socks just kind of sounds like you peed down your leg, and I don't think that's the image you want to send to an opposing team. And really strike fear in the heart of your opposition. Not only did Amarillo have a couple of different names for teams, but they also played in several different leagues. This happened all the time as leagues oftentimes would start up and fold, or teams would reorganize. It wasn't nearly as structured as it is today, which we can say what we want about Major League Baseball sort of taking over of the minor leagues. At least there seems to be some degree of stability in baseball when in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, there really wasn't that at all. You saw Amarillo play in the Western League, the West Texas League, the West Texas New Mexican League, the Panhandle League. I mean, there were leagues. If you come up with a cool name, they basically would name a league after it. That's what they were doing. Amarillo also sought its share of independent ball. Independent minor league baseball is very different than affiliated minor league baseball. The players, for example, are paid by the parent club in affiliated ball, but in independent ball, they're paid by the team itself. It's obviously a much more strenuous financial model to run an indie club than it does to be the affiliate of a major league club. But you had independent teams like the Amarillo Dillos, and then you had a situation where you had the Amarillo Thunderheads, and then you had a team called the Air Hogs that was out of the Metroplex. Well, the teams kind of merged, and they played half their games in Amarillo, half their games in the Metroplex, and called themselves the Texas Air Hogs, which I do acknowledge is a pretty badass name. But you also had some pretty iconic players come through Amarillo. You had Tony Gwynn, Bob Roundtrip Cruz, who was one of the most iconic minor league players of all time. He's kind of like Crash Davis in real life. One year, he actually had 224 RBI in one season. You might notice that I pronounced RBI, the plural form, as RBI, because that's how you do it correctly. When you hear someone say RBI, it's just have them say that they don't understand how grammar works. But if you do even the shallowest of deep dives into the history of Amarillo baseball, you can see that there is a lot to lock onto, a lot to learn about, and you can also understand how thirsty the community was when the Sod Poodles were finally able to take the field. They missed baseball. It's such a part of their DNA, and if you look into the past of that community, it's not hard to see why.
So thank you so much for watching Ballpark Nation. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Ballpark Nation and Twitch It Off in Media, give us a like, a subscribe, make a comment, send it to your friends, text them, email them, carrier pigeon, whatever. If you like what we're doing, tell all your friends. We're gonna be back soon with some more amazing content. We've got Ballpark Nation, we've got Jim's Moving Picture Show, and so much more. So again, like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff.